if we want to put our unit into emergency operation so we can test the compressor and do what we call an inverter test, all we have to do is come inside and the CO switch right here, to put it in cooling, we would push it in one time. To put it in heating, we would push it in 2 times. But in this case, we're just going to test it in cooling because all I care about to see if the board is good or the compressor is good. So let's go ahead and I pushed it in one time. That's going to put it in emergency operation and cooling. So now let's go back out to the outdoor unit and do balance voltage.
All right, let's say you're working on a unit that doesn't have a emergency operation button on it. What would you do? On our ducted system or anything that has the capability of having a wired controller on it won't have an emergency operation button, right? So what would you do? So let's go over to MyLink Drive and let's look at the controller. So on those particular units, you would physically go into the controller and initiate your test run. So in this case, let's look at the MHK2. Let's scroll over to the install manual, the install, and let's open this up so you can see it. And you just scroll down here till you get to the table of contents and look for performing a system test. And it's on page 13. So, of course, you would turn to page 13. I'm just going to enter it in there. And then here it is right here. So, you had to go into the advanced menu, and you can get to the advanced menu by pressing and holding the menu button for 5 seconds. Once you do, it'll take you to the advanced menu. Once you get to the advanced menu, then you hit the button on the left or the right, scroll over till you get to system test. Then you select it, and then you do it for heating or cooling. And that'll run in test mode for like 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, it's going to try to maintain 75 degrees. So it's very important that after you do this, do not hit the done button. If you hit the done button, it's going to take you right out of test run. So you let the controller run in the test mode until you're done with your inverter test, and you physically have to come in and hit the done button. And then once you hit the done button, then that's it. Okay, so that's how you do the MHK2. Now, what if you have a wired controller? What do you do at that point? So we're going to get back out of here. We're going to go up to a PAR 40 controller. And we go into the operations menu. This one right here, the instruction book. And you can scroll through this if you want, but I'm going to do the Command F or Control F. And I'm going to hit test. And it takes you right there. So test run menu. So it tells you have to go into the service menu and then test run. Okay. And that's how you get into the test run on a wired controller. Now there are some times when you can just use the outdoor unit to put your system in emergency operation or test run. Systems like the P series or the branch box system, that's done on the outdoor unit, and I'll show you how to get to that. So go to P series, go to outdoor unit. We're just going to click on one of these here because they're all going to be the same. Service manual. And then we're going to do our Command F, our Control F, and it gives us 103 choices. So we're just going to click here. The very first choice we have actually takes us to the right place. So start and finish the test run. So on a P series, it's SW4. So that bank of dip switches, there's only 2. So if you were in the cooling mode, all you would have to do is turn SW4-1 on and that would put your unit in test run in the cooling mode. But let's say you wanted to check it in heat. Well, at that point, you would physically have to walk over to the disconnect, turn power off, come back over to SW4-2, turn it on, then go back to the disconnect, turn the disconnect back on, and your unit would go into test run in heating mode. And then once you're done with doing your checks, then you go pull the disconnect again, and you would turn SW4 1 and 2 both off. Now here's the important thing to remember. If all you want to do is just put the unit in test run in cooling mode, you just turn SW4-1 on, and that puts it in test run in cooling. If you want to put the unit in test run in heating, you have to turn power off and turn SW4-2 on as well as number 1. So it will go into test run with power on in cooling, but you can't change modes from cooling to heating without physically turning power off. So that it shows you right here. So A is going to be stopped, A is off, B is going to be cooling, which is right here, number 2. C is going to be operation, meaning you turn it on to C, and D is going to be heating, and it's on. Okay, so that is SW4 on a P series. Now on an M series branch box system, it's actually going to be SW3, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so let's go over to the M series, and that's going to go to the outdoor equipment. We're going to find a MXZ Smart Multi. It doesn't matter if it's a Smart Multi or MXZ 8C, because they're both going to be the same. So let's just do that there. Let's just click that Smart Multi. Let's go into service. Hit the service menu. Then we're going to do Command F or Control F in test run, right? So okay, so here's where all the dip switches are. So let me rotate it clockwise. Okay, so we're looking for SW3, SW3 1 and SW3 2. So if you just want to turn it on, you do it just like the P series, only instead of SW4 it's going to be SW3. So SW3 number 1, turn it on, that's going to put it in test run, and SW3-2 is going to be your heating or cooling dip switches. Okay, so that is how you put the branch box system, the P series, or any one of the ducted system that has a wire controller or MHK2 in test run.
So what we're doing now is we're waiting for the unit to come on, but I've already got the compressor disconnected. So this is the wire that actually goes up here to the board, the connector on the board right there. And then this is a connector that goes down to the compressor. So what I'm going to do is when the fan comes on, I'm going to let the fan probably run for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And then once it runs that long, I'm going to go ahead and take voltage on these terminals here. Because our compressor is a 3-phase compressor. So all I'm doing is testing balanced voltage. If the voltage is balanced, that tells me the board is good. If the voltage isn't balanced, that tells me there's something going on with the actual board. So, let me go ahead and move this. So that's an AC compressor, so I'm going to put my meter on AC volts there. Then I'm gonna go right here, and I'm gonna just go in between each terminal. So black to red or black to white, and I have 49 volts. Black to red, I have 49.3, and then all three legs are the same. So white to red, I have 49.3 volts. Now, in the service manual, you can actually go, I'm gonna go ahead and turn power off. In the service manual, you can go to testing the compressor, and it's gonna give you a voltage range of what your compressor would be good for. So in this case, it was 49 volts. If I go into the service manual, it'll tell me that, hey, from 40 volts to 150 volts or whatever, that's what your compressor should be. That's what your voltage coming from the board should be.
Go over here to mylinkdrive.com just so I can show you where to look in the manual. So we go to mylinkdrive.com. We click on the USA products. Now that particular unit that we were working on is a M series, and it's MUZGL 18. So we'll scroll down here till we find a GL 18, which would be right here. We'll go over, either we can click on the service menu right here to get the service manual, or we can just scroll down. In this case, we're just going to scroll down. We have a service manual right here. We're going to click on it. Going to enlarge the page. Okay. Then I'm going to do the Control F, and I've already got typed in there balanced. What that's going to do is take us to that particular section in the service manual, and you see it right here. Troubleshooting flow, how to check the inverter compressor. So you can do, you can just scroll down here, check the voltages between the terminals. Are the voltages balanced? If they aren't, then you replace the inverter board. If they are, then you check the compressor. It says C10-5C, check of compressor, right? So we're just going to scroll down here. What we're really looking for is this B section right here, check of open phase. So it tells you with the connector between the compressor and the power board, disconnect it, go ahead and activate the unit, meaning use a test run like we did. And what we're going to do at that point is we're going to check the voltage in between U, V, and W, as I showed in the video. And we should have anywhere between 50 and 100 volts or 130 volts AC. And in the video we had it, 49.3, somewhere around there. But it also says right here the voltage may differ according to the tester. So I knew that unit was working, so that 49.3, 49.8 was right along this 50 volt line. That is how you check the compressor for balanced voltages. Now if you wanted to ohm it out, you would just come scroll up the page here, and here's a compressor, and it tells you what ohms you should be getting depending on the model number of the unit. So at 9,000, you should get 1.26 to 1.72, and that is a 9000-U1. Here's the reason the service reference number is so important. This is also a 9000, but it's a -U2, and the ohms rating is a little different. So that's why it's so important that you look at your service reference number to check it. And also right here, you have your MUZGL09NA-U8, and they're going to be a little different. They're about the same, but you know, it is what it is. And then of course the 12 is going to be there. And we're looking right here at the GL15/18, and you get 0.82 to to 1.11. So that's how you check the compressor. Also on the same page here, if you're having a problem with the fan motor, you can check resistance on it, depending on model numbers. That is it. That's how you do an inverter test on one of our units or on a Mitsubishi. And thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.